We are back again. Week 6 is over. Don, how we feeling after this week?
Um, I feel indifferent. We'll get into that, but
Indifferent. That's a good way to put it.
indifferent about a lot of things. I think I'm done with fantasy football for a little while here, but other than that,
I'm in enough leagues at this point where the spread of good and bad is kind of all over the place right now. It's
yeah, I
just
think I went 1-4 again this week in fantasy, so
fair
just
enough, fair
awful
enough.
time. And
I
but yeah,
am currently sitting in first place in the Matt Miller league that I'm in, though. I will say that. Shout out Matt Miller.
whoa,
Hey, listen, Jaden Daniels has been good.
Jaden
And
Daniels is
somebody
my savior of all my teams. I
did
I
I show
think I
you that
have him
trade
in
that I
3
made
out of 5.
in
No,
that
no,
in
tell me
that
about
league?
it.
Somebody a
You
couple
might
weeks
have, but
ago.
tell me about it.
It was like week 3 or week 4. Somebody offered me Terry McLaurin and a third for Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, yeah, you told me about that, and I told you to book
Smash.
that. And
Yeah,
the second you made that trade, Terry's
yeah,
gone off.
yeah. And I have my stock in Isaiah Likely in that one as well. And yeah, no,
Okay.
it's been good. We are weirdly looking
Yeah,
good in that league.
yeah. You
So
you
hey,
know my feelings on Jaden going into the year. I own him everywhere I can, and
speaking of which,
he's really paid
how many
off.
firsts is it going to take for you to move off of him?
We can talk about that at the end of the show.
Fair enough. Cool. All right. So big news of the day, obviously, um,
Yeah,
and the week
big
really.
news.
Devontae Adams going to the Jets for a conditional third round, can turn into a second, and the Jets are picking up the entire salary on that.
Did you see the stipulation on that?
I saw there's some weird things on it. It's like
So he needs to
a
reach. There's two ways it becomes second. It's first team All Pro or second team All Pro, either or, as long as he finishes as an All Pro,
mhm,
or if they reach the AFC Championship game.
gotcha. 'Cause I heard it, but I wasn't totally paying attention when I was listening to
hmm
something talking about that. So I did kind of miss that a little bit.
So they're
Where
both
somebody said like, why
very
not make it a fifth and it can turn into a first and just say like, oh, if we make it to the Super Bowl, like who cares? Or we win the Super Bowl, but like who knows if the Raiders actually take that? I don't know. There's some weird stuff there, but
yeah. I think the Jets made a good deal there for themselves for in the compensation wise. I
mhm.
think taking on the rest of his deal is a little tougher.
Yeah,
Just
it's just some
money
cap stuff
wise. I,
there.
I know they kind of restructured it a bit. I didn't really get to see what the exact details were involved with that.
No, I didn't
But
see that either.
yeah, but I like what they gave up. I mean, the stipulations obviously are pretty difficult to hit. You're obviously you're still hoping you win the Super Bowl, make it there. But with how tough the AFC's been every single year and who your competition is directly in front of you in your own division, in
Mm.
the AFC East as well as throughout the AFC with the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Texans, the Steelers. It's tough. It's not easy. You got a long jump to even make it to the playoffs, let alone
Mhm.
make it to the AFC Championship game. But I think he'll do fine there. Obviously, stock down on Garrett Wilson. It's gonna eat into his productivity. I mean, stock down on Aaron Rodgers already. He hasn't looked great.
Mhm.
Last week was his best week, and they only put up 17 points. So what are you going to
Yeah,
do about that?
yeah. I
If
mean,
he really becomes the red zone machine that you need him to be, sure, but you got to get there first.
right. Yeah, I think simply put, or like the short answer is the Jets were not a 32-year-old receiver away
No,
from making the difference there. That's the short answer. Long
no.
answer is more so. All right, so this is just turning into the Packers 2.0, but everybody's older and worse now. Like Devonte Adams
Yeah,
is not the same player he was 4 years ago. I like love Devonte Adams. I have no bad things to say about him, but just the reality is he's not the same guy. Rodgers is clearly not the same guy. Matt
no.
Hackett is not even involved anymore in the offense, but he's just, basically Rodgers' emotional support animal that he has on the staff at this point.
Yeah,
Like,
essentially.
it's really just like they're running out of people to blame there. You blame the kicker for the Broncos loss. Then you fire Robert Saleh the next week. Now, yesterday, or yeah, yesterday, they lose. He throws a pick again, blames Mike Williams
Blames.
at the at the press conference there,
Yeah.
like, and not even a little bit, just completely buried him. Said he just
Yeah.
no took on none of the guilt in that, and then Devontae Adams is in the building the next day. Also, even
Yeah.
if he didn't run the right route, that ball was so underthrown.
It was a terrible,
It was a
terrible ball.
horrible throw.
Not
Like
good. And that's the
really, the only reason it
second
got
week in a
picked.
row he's done that.
Yeah, the only reason that got picked is because Mike Williams had to stop dead in his tracks and tried to backtrack to that ball because it was four
Yeah.
and a half yards behind him. And then
Yeah.
he falls down, isn't able to even just like play defense on it himself, then it gets picked off. Like it's just the Jets being the Jets again. They're bad from the top down, as they have been forever. They have, a few stretches every few years. Like once a decade they'll have like a 2-year stretch where like the Jets are relevant. But the defense
Yeah.
is not as good, and now you've already moved off of Saleh, who knew defense and coached that defense up. Already last week, or last night, defense didn't look as good. They're not getting pressure on the quarterback like they have in recent years. Part of that is, you still can't figure out the Hassan Reddick stuff. Also, you moved off an edge rusher to get Hassan Reddick. Their run defense isn't as good. Their
They
secondary
didn't
was
move
good.
off the edge rusher. They just chose not to sign him, knowing that they were getting
What?
Hassan. Slightly different.
Well, no,
But yeah.
he was part of the. Wasn't he part of the deal to the Eagles?
No, he was
I
a
know.
free agent. It just so happened
That's
he
right.
signed
That's
with
the
the
same.
Eagles. Like 5 minutes into
Regardless,
free agency.
yeah, that's right. That's why I thought it was the same thing.
But
Either
yeah,
way,
it's apples
you
and
lost a
oranges,
piece. You tried to get that. That's not working out.
Yeah.
The secondary was
Unfortunately.
good, and now they're a little hurt. The offensive line, I think we both had questions about that. It was like, oh, we rebuilt the O-line. It's just like, yeah, and Tyron Smith is 37 years old. Morgan
Yeah.
Moses is older.
And
They're
hurt.
getting banged up, and now they're hurt, and it's just not holding up. Like I guess it's marginally better than it was last year.
Yeah.
There's no relationship between Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, your best offensive piece at this point. They can't develop a run game. Brees Hall did a little bit better, was better last night, but it's just even
Yeah.
like what Rodgers is able to do at this point. They honestly remind me of the Saints of like 2018, like the last like 3 years of Drew Brees. That's what it
Yeah.
looks like, where it's all quick reads, get the ball out fast, chunk plays. That's why Michael Thomas was so good in that offense. And
In 17, yeah.
you had a really good defense too. The only difference between these two teams is that the Saints had Alvin Kamara giving you 7 yards a touch. There's not anybody on the Jets right now that's giving you that kind of production. So
Yeah,
they
and
have to
part
give
of
you
that's-
death by 1,000 cuts. And then if they get stuck with a 3rd and 7, they're screwed.
Yeah, the biggest issue on that team by far is that offensive line. You bandaged it up as best as you could because you decided that you weren't going to invest in it the last few years, and that Mekhi Becton was worth a damn. So it's tough to kind of assess that your offense is going to immediately better. And it's not like you're going to have time to assimilate. You're immediately going to be challenged by the best defense in the NFL on Sunday. It's you don't have time. Not only is it considered the best defense, you're going up against the fastest defenders nonstop, constantly. You're
It's
only
going to look like
saving
they
grace.
did week 1 with the Niners. They got boat raced in that.
Yeah, your only saving grace right now is that the Steelers don't have a good second edge rusher. But what you missed on last Sunday when they played the Raiders was this: they didn't get a lot of sacks. They had 1 sack all game, but they also forced 3 turnovers because TJ Watt realized, hey, I can drop back and make plays, and he did with 2 forced fumbles.
And they held him to 13 points.
Yeah, you think they're not going to do that again?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, I don't even know if they scored over 20 points this season. No, they have. I'm sorry. It's the Browns. The Browns haven't scored more than 20 this season.
Yeah.
So, thank God. So yeah. You're going up against a tough challenge. you're
Hmm.
hoping that the offense can magically put it together in 7 days.
It's not going to
It's
happen.
just,
Not even. And you're
it's not
coming
going to
off a
happen.
short week. Like I don't know what the early line is on this.
And not,
Just out of
it can't be
curiosity,
pretty.
it can't be. It's I guess mildly concerning to take just because Mike Tomlin being a favorite is never a good thing. Um,
Yeah.
Sorry, hold on. My DraftKings is being a pain in the ass here, real quick.
No,
Yeah,
you're
look
good.
ahead line is on the Sunday night game too.
Yeah, it's Sunday night game. The game's going to be a
Actually,
freaking mess.
sorry. Jets are actually 1.5 point favorites, and that might be my
That's
favorite bet of the week. Anyway,
that's
we'll get into
crazy.
that, the Russ stuff and everything. Anyway,
That's
but yeah, now like
crazy, dude.
I think you could get away with O line if you had 2018 Aaron Rodgers that could still move
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
buy them a little
May-
bit of time. But like anytime
yeah.
that like
Maybe
if
even
they have
2020.
anything where
Yep.
anything has to develop 15 yards downfield, that O line cannot hold up. It
No,
falls apart immediately, and Rodgers has nowhere to go because he's not the same athlete. Like between the age and coming off the Achilles, there, like he's not the same guy.
he's not that
So
guy, pal.
he's not that guy, pal. It's yeah. I don't. This move was relevant to talk about because it's Devonte Adams, and I wish Devonte Adams made better life choices at this point. But this does nothing. Okay, they win 8 games
No,
instead of 7 this year. I guess like it
maybe
might get you a
but
game. It's
even
still
then,
not
like
putting
you're
you.
already behind.
Yeah, you're not in this. Yeah, it's not moving the needle for me at all. Really, it doesn't scare me. I guess it's better for like the Chiefs because Devonte Adams isn't a Bill or a Raven or a Texan right now, like, or even a
Yeah,
Charger. Like,
yeah.
it makes their life a little bit easier. But
Yeah. It's just like we'll see. They have a decent schedule coming up after the Steelers, leading into their bye. 3 of the 4 games they play are against below average teams with a sub 500 records. So do you have a
yeah, but I think
chance
they're like
to?
there aren't there a couple frisky teams though. It's
One of
like you
them's
get
the
the Steelers this
Cardinals,
week. I think you get the
Pats. Yep. So
Patriots next
Steelers,
week.
Pats, Texans, Cardinals, Colts. So Cardinals and Colts are both like two like, oh, those are fun, but
Yeah,
by
I
that
mean
point you're kind of
yeah.
knowing what you're getting out of both of them.
We'll probably lose this week because the defense will just the Steelers defense will hold them in check. Uh,
Yeah.
they'll beat up on the Patriots. Probably get boat
You
raced by the
hope you'll beat up on the
Texans.
Patriots.
I
Oh,
mean, they'll
yeah.
win. They'll win at least, And then, I mean, depending on how Kyler Murray's feeling, Cardinals can work you a little bit. And then if Joe Elite is still slinging it for the Colts, that's not an easy out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Also,
again, it just doesn't move the needle for me.
yeah. I'm sorry. I said they scored 17 on Monday. They scored 20. My bad.
They did. They did.
I
But
misspoke.
didn't really look good at all. Um,
No, no.
do we want to go to who they played last night or who they're playing this week for the other fun news that's happening?
We'll go last night. I like that news better.
Yeah. So on the flip side, was a receiver trade that we both like a
Shocking.
lot.
It was
I
shocking.
I was waiting for somebody to make a move for him, but I was
It
impressed
was
that the
bound to
Bills were the
happen.
ones to do it. Amari Cooper going to the Bills. I love this so much.
Mm-hmm.
This is a
Seamless
small
fit.
ego, small personality guy in Amari Cooper
He's
that
just team
is
player all around.
and is a better route runner and surer hands than Stephon Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the athlete. He's not going to beat you over the top, but he is. I mean, it's like having a really athletic tight end for Josh Allen. He's going to
Yeah.
be the safety valve.
Yeah.
He's just going to he's going to be open because that's just what Amari Cooper does. Like he's a really underrated route runner, great hands. I love the fit so much. It gives the Bills so much of what they need right now because they just don't have anybody that's just going to beat a corner. You know what I mean? And if you get to the point where you have to double them,
Not only
like Shakir and Coleman and Samuel are good enough when the pressure's taken off of them. When you can just like
Yeah.
line up with each one of those guys man to man, and just try to defend them straight up. None of them are good enough to actually separate from good secondaries. The Ravens were able to play them really well because across the board they could go just play man against them and kind of just
Yeah.
lock those guys down. You can't do
I
that
think
now
I
with
think what
Amari.
this brings to the Bills is like a real veteran leader
Mm-hmm.
that they desperately need on that core. Yeah, they
Yeah.
have Curtis Samuel, who's 28. If you want to say they have Mac Hollins, who's 31, sure. But those guys aren't like locker room leaders that are going to help that young receiving core with Shakir and Keon Coleman really develop,
Mm-hmm.
and Keon especially. So Amari
And
Cooper,
Keon, it seems like a really good kid too. Like he's not, he doesn't,
yeah,
he has no ego. He wants to learn, and like I think that is gonna be really,
that's
really good for him
so
too.
nice
Yeah,
for him. So
yeah,
that's just like a great pairing with the two. And like you were saying, he's a great route runner. Just he's gonna beat some corners off the end, and I just think that offense is gonna look so much better, and it already looks great. But
yeah.
now it's
It's
just gonna really be tenfold. So
yeah. You're not gonna have like last night where it felt like they just like couldn't really get
going anywhere, yeah,
consistently. And
yeah,
even like the Ravens, like they couldn't really get anything going consistently there. The Texans, like they probably should have won that game, and they just couldn't get anything going. Like it opens it up, it simplifies a lot for Josh Allen. Yeah, because like I said, it's just as simple as like Amari's going to get open. Like
hmm
you, if you were watching any Bill stuff, basically if any Bill stuff came across your red zone, because if you're outside of Cleveland, you're not watching the Bills, the Browns. I mean, sorry, uh,
yeah.
all the Brown stuff because they are coming across your red zone. You're outside of Cleveland. You're not watching those games, and even if you're in Cleveland, why? Um,
Make better
he's
choices.
getting open. He's just like he hasn't like Deshaun just is that bad. He can't get on the ball.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not unfortunate that Sean's bad. Again, thank you.
Yes. He deserves nothing in
Just
this world.
no, he deserves the worst, man. But uh, thankfully, Amari's getting a fresh start, much needed, and
Mhm.
I wish him and the Buffalo Bills right now nothing but the best and
Yeah.
great success.
Yeah, no, that's he's a likable guy that's finally going to get back into a situation where
No,
I think he'll enjoy it. And that was I did see a beat writer from Cleveland. I think it was a beat writer. Was like it's been sourced that Amari Cooper just like actually hated Deshaun Watson.
I mean, who
I mean,
wouldn't?
obviously, but like
Who
like
doesn't on that team? I genuinely
who
want to know if
knows?
somebody actually will go to bat for that man,
I know.
like when
I
pushed.
feel bad for Stefanski still with all that he has to go to the to every press conference to be like he's our guy. He gives us our best chance to win because
It's
the
just
owners invested too
unbelievable.
much money into it and they just want to see it through.
Because
I don't know. I did
Haslam
see.
doesn't know how to.
Did you see? Pardon my take. They were talking about it with Big Cat, where
No,
he was like, I
with Big
think
Cat.
he's like, what if we're? This is pretty funny though. He's like, what if we're looking at this whole Deshaun Watson and the Browns thing the wrong way, and instead they're actually just punishing him by sending him out there every week, as bad as he is. Like, imagine like how much, like if you were like how much people hate their jobs anyway, and
Yeah,
imagine just being horrible at your job, but they just won't fire you, and they keep making you go out there, and on top of that, you have 300-pound men running at you and hitting you every
yeah,
single time. Like,
yeah.
and you just get publicly
Deshaun,
shamed for it every week. Every time you show up to work, you're
this,
publicly shamed.
yeah. Deshaun's kind of like that guy who lied on his interview to get as much money as possible, and now he's being forced to do everything that he said he could do, and it's
It's
blatantly
fallen
obvious that he
apart.
can't.
It is
And
insane.
and
Again,
and
that's
they've
why I think it's like
invested too much.
I really wonder because like the drop off was insane because like the last couple of years in Houston, he was
He was an
really
MVP caliber
good.
player.
Yeah, he was
So
insane. And then all that comes out,
yeah,
he gets that huge paycheck, and then I think he just already knew nobody liked him anymore, and
yeah.
he just checked
Might as
out.
well go to Cleveland.
I think he actually just completely checked out and was just like, I'm getting paid no matter what. Like, none of this matters. I don't want to be here. Nobody likes me anyway. I'm
Yeah,
getting booed everywhere I go. Like,
I
it's
wonder
such an
why.
insane. Well, again,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm agreeing with that. It just,
yeah,
who knows?
yeah. I mean, I don't want to give that man any more of my time today.
That's fair. I agree with
So
that.
let's move on to my depressing time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So the Steelers, Mike Tomlin came out today in his presser and said that they are giving uh, Russ some first team reps this week,
I
alluding to
heard it
the
was
fact
like
that there's
the
potential.
majority.
I didn't listen to the full thing because um, alluding to the fact that there's a good chance Russ starts this weekend. So we get essentially the two oldest quarterbacks in the league going one-on-one on Sunday Night Football. Just what everybody wants.
Mm.
What's even more comical is in that presser, reporter asked Mike Tomlin, "Do you think that Russ has the speed to beat defenders off the edge?" And he said, "No." Cool, that's great.
Awesome.
I love that because Fields had to save himself a half a dozen times on Sunday because Broderick
Mhm.
Jones literally just stood there. I don't know if you saw that play, but it was
I
great.
did see the one where it just looked like he forgot what sport he was playing.
He he forgot what universe he was in. Ball was hiked, he stood up, and the guy blows by him, and he takes a second, turns around, and looks as Fields is running up the field to get the first.
Hmm.
So if that happens to Russ, I think he dies.
Yeah,
Um,
for real. Like,
I think
entirely.
yeah, I think Russ does bring a few different things to the field that Fields doesn't have. That he's better touch, he's better decision making when it comes to actually throwing the ball. What he doesn't have is age. He doesn't have the mobility like he used to.
And not the
Um,
awareness in the pocket anymore. Like, that was very evident
not
in
not like
Denver.
not like it was, but he did play better last year. So I just want to see what it kind of I do want to see what it looks like. So we touched on this previously on this podcast. Is we know what we have now in Fields, which is kind of reverse as to what we thought was going to happen going into the season. I thought, yeah, we're going to know what we had in Russ, but hey, Fields is a shiny toy off to the side. Now it's
Mhm.
reverse. I know what we have in Fields, but it's like Russ is like this like used toy that I've never played with, but I'm curious to see if it still works like it used to.
Yeah.
Because he's not shiny and new. He's worn down and tattered. But I'm curious to see if that same toy can bring me joy and can bring me success. I don't
I
think it
just,
will, but
this just, it really doesn't make sense to me. Like, this, like, my stance to you, like, when you sent me that this morning, the first thing I said to you was, like, this is strictly just to appease Russell Wilson at
yeah,
this point. That's the
I think
only
I
reason
think
you're doing this. Because, like, let's just remove the names from it here. You have a defensive led team, you're run focused on offense. And a quarterback is giving you 66% completions, 184 yards a game, not great, but like
no, not great.
serviceable for what you're trying to do on offense. Eat clock, let your defense
Yeah,
kind of run again. It's the
yeah,
race to 18. Um, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, and a 94 rating.
yeah.
And you're
And he's
4-2. Yeah,
5 rushing touchdowns on the year as well.
yeah.
So it's
And you're 4-2, basically
yeah,
tied for a division lead. The only reason is they like Ravens have a division win, whatever. But like, and now you're gonna go. We're gonna switch the quarterbacks up.
yeah.
It's it's an insane move to say out loud.
I
Just
think
removing the names from it. It's just
here
pandering and ego there.
here it is, and I thought if they were gonna do it, it was gonna happen last week. You want to see what you have in Russ going into the back half of the season. Truly, who can be the best quarterback in this offense? Is it Fields? Is it Russ? Is it neither? If it's neither, cool, you have that answer. If it's one of them,
Mm.
cool, then you can pay that quarterback appropriately at the end of the season. But they need to truly now see that. So give Russ now 2 games. So he'll get 2 games. The Jets, which isn't an easy task. They still have a good secondary. They have a good defense. So we'll kind of see what that looks like. And then next week they have the Monday night game against the Giants, whose defense has played well this year.
Mhm.
So it's not the easiest task, and it should be interesting to kind of get that. And he's going to be in the spotlight back to back weeks, asking to perform. If he does not show out at all in both those games, I guarantee it's Fields coming out of the bye. Russ gets cut to appease himself so he can go and sign somewhere else. Or
Right.
maybe he stays because he likes the team, he likes the culture. I don't know.
I mean, if he's not going to play, he's not going to be there. They'll cut him. Like if they go into the bye and he struggles, if they lose both these games with Russ,
If
because
they
I
lose
think you
both
can
these
talk yourself.
games,
I think even like as a Steelers fan, just like average Steelers fan, like you can talk yourself into being okay with losing to the Jets next week. Like you can just like you can
sure,
find a way to
sure,
justify that. You know what I mean? You can go, all right,
sure,
well, okay, Rogers Devontae connection is back.
sure, sure,
It
sure.
makes sense. Um, I don't see how you can do that again if on back-to-back primetime games you lose and the second one is to the Giants going into the bye. But
Yeah,
then you're
if that's
playing
the
with fire
case,
there though too, because like okay, if you do this just to like make Russ happy and you go 0-2, you just basically gave away 2 games.
yeah,
Like you can
I
make
think
that
it.
argument as well. Like that's my thing where like with that it in
No,
any other situation this makes 0 sense.
yeah, I get what you're saying with like the appeasement aspect, and I think maybe that plays into it a little bit, but I genuinely do think it's the organization wants to see what Russ looks like in this offense. They
Hmm.
brought him in for a reason. They want to see it through. That's it. And if he looks good in these 2 games, he'll probably continue to be the starter out of the bye. If he looks the same as Fields, I think Fields is the starter as the bye. And obviously, if he looks worse than that, it's
Yeah,
Fields the rest of the way. But he needs to be better than what Justin gives us. If not, then he's done.
has
Period.
to.
End of story. Has to. He has a level. If he
Hmm.
does not surpass that, or even if he does not surpass that in any way, he is not the starter on this team, and you have that
Hmm.
answer. That is
Yeah, I
why I
just want
think it
to.
is best to do it now.
How many times has Fields been sacked this year?
A
Do you
lot.
know? Has it
He
been a
got
lot?
sacked. Yeah, he got. but it's not his fault. I mean, part of it is, but part of it's
So he's
not.
been sacked 16 times.
I'm pretty sure that's like average in the league.
Yeah, that's what. How many games have they played? 6, right?
6, so you're looking at like almost
That's not.
3 a game. Two and two, two and two
Yeah,
thirds of a sack.
16 divided by
It's not
6.
awful.
That's what.
2.667.
Fucking nerd. Um,
Yeah. Um,
yeah.
but it's
So
like,
yeah, 2 almost 3, and I mean Russ has been one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league the last
yeah,
couple of years.
yeah.
Because
I
what was
think
it?
if
Hold on, let me look at this just for the sake of it here. Last 2 years, we'll go to the last 2 years, 22 and 2023. Field sacked 55 times in 2022 and 44 times in 2023.
hmm
Russ, last 2 years in Denver, 55 and 45. So I guess it's about the same.
yeah.
Literally
So I guess
one
it's
less.
just gonna depend on. Yeah, I think it's gonna come down to the turnover factor. Russ doesn't turn the ball over really at all, and that was like the huge benefit to
Yeah.
what they wanted to do. And I think when Fields
Fields
wasn't turning the
played 2
ball
less
over
games in that
either,
time, though, too.
yeah, I think Fields not turning the ball over through these 5, 6 games has kind of shocked the organization. Been like, oh, okay,
Yeah, he's been a lot less reckless.
which is good, but I think part of that's also he's getting a little bit lucky. I have watched the games, I have seen it. Some
Hmm.
of those balls should have been intercepted and haven't been. And he did get one pick that was called back, so that was a big bonus. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just a weird.
yeah,
I'm still
it
trying to
was always
wrap my
it
head
was
around
always
it.
gonna be yeah, it was always gonna be a weird situation. It would have been less weird if
Yeah,
Russ was a starter, then you go to Fields. But since
right.
it
That
happened the
was
way it did, now you're like shit, what do we actually have to do now?
Yeah. That him getting hurt to start the year really
Really threw a
threw
wrench
a
into
wrench in.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that
now,
was very
now you got a
strange.
lot of questions. You need to have a lot of answers. And that's
Right.
kind of what they're doing with this. You're going to get an answer whether you like it or not. I
Right.
think it does go back to Fields at some point this season. I don't know when.
Hmm.
So
No, that
just
makes
hold
sense.
tight. I do think Fields is going to see reps on Sunday in different packages and just hang tight. That's all I got to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, it's even weirder because both of these games are primetime games that they're going to play with.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So it's not even just going to be like,
you get
hidden
that
away in the
spotlight,
one
baby.
o'clock window. It's,
Yeah.
national TV. Everybody's going to see it. So even if he's bad this week, it's going to get loud
Yeah.
just nationally. Yeah.
Good. Good.
Do we want to touch
That's
on
me.
the mess of the Philadelphia Eagles? Sorry, not the Eagles. Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, what did he
See all
do? He got
that?
into an argument with a fan
He
this
was
weekend?
chirping with fans. This game was in Philly, first of all. The game was in Philadelphia, and he was chirping with fans.
Dude,
Also,
they hate him.
out of the
They
bye
hate him
week,
so much.
showed up with a shaved head.
I saw that. Yeah.
Never a good sign. Never a good
He's
sign.
he's having he's having a rough time, dude.
Yeah, so that's not a good sign. Chirps with fans.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what else was it? It was that, the shaved head out of the bye there. Barely beats Cleveland. And then showed up with his kid on his lap
Mm.
at the post-game press conference so that nobody could actually berate him. And
He
then
knew what he
went
was doing. Yeah.
rah. Everybody wanted me to get back to, being myself and being loud and everything like that. And, kind of doubled down on it at that press
Yeah.
conference. And then today's press conference opened with, I'm very sorry that I did that. Did not mean to, get into it with our own fans and everything like that. Just completely rolled it all back.
Yeah, I mean, of course he does.
How soon is he getting fired at this point?
It depends on their
Do we think
trajectory.
it's going to
If
happen during the season and they just
do they? Well,
pick one of
let me ask
Fangio and
let me ask you this: do they make the playoffs?
I
That's your answer.
really, yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think no matter what, the only way he keeps his job in any facet is they have
Oh,
to win the Super
okay.
Bowl, and right now they're
Look.
not going to.
Oh, oh no, no, no.
I think there's a
Let,
chance
let
that they
me
can
let me.
still make the playoffs, win the division, everything like that. But I think you just need to completely reset and
Yeah,
just settle the room a little bit.
yeah. That's. I'm gonna reframe my question. Not the playoffs. Whatever. They need to, at least for his job security, they have to win that division. They
I
don't
don't
win
even
that
think that
division.
does it. I don't
I
think that's enough for him. Honestly, and I'm not
I think it might.
I don't think it will. I think he has to win the Super Bowl because even if they win the division, they go and they lose first round again, kind of
Yeah,
like last year. He's gone. They almost
yeah.
fired him this past year.
I'll say this: if he happens to get fired, there's one coach I would love to see there, and it's not who you think I'd like to see there, because you're gonna think Ben Johnson.
Oh no, I know who I want.
Who do
If I was the Eagles, who
yeah.
they should have hired, and I kind of pined for it. I told you this during the offseason. I think Mike Vrabel fits that
Oh,
very, very well.
I want, and it's for offensive purposes, Bobby Slowick.
That's fair.
That would be hot. I'm just
That
I'm just
that's
saying.
fair. I think Vrabel would just fit
I think Vrabel
them
fits the
and the
culture.
identity of the
Yeah,
city, everything like that. It makes a lot more sense. He would build the culture. He's
yeah.
Dan
But
Campbell, but with better clock management.
for
And not
I
quite as
yeah,
loud, but
for
he's really
yeah,
good at Vrabel is a very good coach, and I think he wanted they mutually parted ways with him in Tennessee. He was like, I want
yeah,
please fire me. I don't want to do this here anymore. Don't stick me with Will Levis anymore.
yeah.
And
I
I
think
think he
yeah,
saw the options available. Obviously, the best one was clearly the Chargers, and they had their eyes set on Harbaugh. So he's taking this year off, and he'll revisit this coming off season, I think
Yeah.
that is the best option because he'll hire smart people around him, and
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
commands a room, and I think everybody's gonna like him. Um, but I just think like at this point, you're gonna fire Sirianni anyway. Just rip the Band-Aid off. Is kind of where I'm
But
at with it,
it,
and
it's
because again,
it's
like your quarterback doesn't even have a great relationship with him. Like you need to
I
do
think
something.
it's different that their situation is slightly different than the Jets. The Jets fired Salah because
Yeah, because the
of
organization doesn't, you know,
reasons. Um, we'll call it that. But Philly still is competitive. They're still playing. They're still keeping up with games. They look good some days. I think it would be tough to fire Sirianni and get like that immediate culture change that you're looking for. I think if you want that, it's not going to happen until the offseason regardless. So why are we making such a drastic decision in October when we should wait until the end of the season, see how it all plays out, and make that choice then?
I get what you're saying, and I would agree with you on of situations like that. Like I don't think the Jets should have fired Salah when they did.
No, not at all. Not at
They
all.
definitely could have waited. That was a very, but again, that's Woody Johnson, very
Again,
impulsive human,
it's
and it's the Jets.
reasons. Yeah.
It's the Jets. It's the Jets.
Uh-huh.
They're just going to keep being the Jets. This one feels a little bit different in the
Yeah.
sense that there was so much noise in the offseason about him and Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts has been a stand-up guy, and that like the team doesn't really buy into Sirianni anymore. And like
hmm
when you lose the room, you're a sitting duck. And I
Yeah.
think he's completely lost the room at this point. And if any of the players were saying, "Yeah, we want you to get loud again and start acting crazy and stuff like that," it's like I think they're trying to get him fired at this point. Like I don't think they want him there, and I think that would just
Anything's
give a little bit
possible.
of a reset. You don't have this big personality in the room anymore. It takes some of the pressure off of you, where it's like everybody's talking about the relationship between him and Hurts, and every week it's like you don't really know what you're getting. And like on top of that, you beat the Browns by 4. It was 20-16. You could barely get to
Yeah.
20 points in that game. I was down in the city on Sunday. I was actually sitting at a cafe because of a job thing, whatever. But like sitting outside of this cafe, there's a bar next door. It is 1:30, and I hear come from the bar, "You've got to be shitting me." Like it's already like the fans can't stand this guy anymore. Like
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have that way less of opinion on Sirianni than the city of Philadelphia. I
it
care
just
less if the
frustrates
guy
me
gets
because like
fired.
there's a lot of good pieces on this team, like this roster,
Yeah.
at least
Yeah, that's the
offensively,
tough part.
and you should be serviceable on defense. You should be good
Should
enough on
be,
defense to get to 12 wins with this team.
but yeah, but there's a lot more issues somehow on the defense than there is on that offensive side of
I
the
think
ball.
that's more secondary, and Darius Slay is just
Yeah.
he's older now, and I think some of that
And
is just
CJ Gardner
age and
Johnson forgets how to play football
and
sometimes, but
I like Fangio made sense because he was probably the best D coordinator available for them, but also like Vic Fangio doesn't blitz, and they kind of
yeah.
have to take some of the pressure off of that
Yeah.
secondary.
Yeah.
But that's
It
again, that's more of a scheme thing there.
yeah, it's
Um,
like why sign and draft edge rushers when you don't use them. But
exactly, yeah. But then
yeah,
again, that's what you get when you get into bed with Vic Fangio at this point. But all right.
unfortunately.
Also, Cam Akers got traded. I think that's about the extent
That's
there.
that's something. Went to
Yeah, I
Minnesota.
mean, I guess
Big
Aaron Jones
injuries.
might be a little bit more hurt. Oh yeah, injuries. Hutch.
Yeah. Aiden Hutchinson, he was on pace to kind of seal up that DP Y by mid-season maybe if he continued the way he was going. So
That
that
hurts
was
my
really
preseason
unfortunate
prediction a little
that he
bit.
went down.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hope him nothing but the speedy recovery. The play was gruesome. That was
Mhm.
one of the worst
That was
things I've
ugly.
ever seen. But at least it was clean and he'll be good to go for next season. Other major injury. Oh, there was a lot of major injuries. Somebody tore their pec over the weekend. They're done for the year. Andrew Thomas got hurt. He's done for the year. Who tore the
And he was
pec?
looking good.
Oh,
He was
Jonathan
looking
Allen.
really good.
Jonathan Allen tore his pec.
Heinz Allen?
No, Jonathan Allen for the
Oh, yeah.
the Commanders.
Jonathan
D
Allen.
tackle. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was like,
sorry.
you okay? No, yeah, he tore his pec, so he's out for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Just a
I
lot
do
of
want to touch on the Hutch one real quick.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of like back and forth on, okay, Max Crosby, not Max Crosby, everything like that with the Lions. And I think normally you'd go, yeah, they're probably shopping more in the market of like the Jadeveon Clowney, Zadarius Smith, probably. But their GM is, oh hell, what's his name again?
Brad
I'm
Holmes.
blanking on. Is that his name? He was in L.A. before he got the job in Detroit.
Yeah.
And he was also on the LA side of the Jared Goff deal, or Jared Goff, Matt Stafford deal. So basically his background is fuck them picks. Let's make a move if we're getting an unestablished guy. So
reasonable. Yeah.
I think it's very much in the realm of possibilities that they go, we'll more like for this team, that they mortgage a fair amount of that future and go get a Max Crosby.
Yeah, so here's my only reason they won't do that, and it's just the salary cap.
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning towards they probably won't, but I'm saying like I think the door is a little bit more open on that than some people would.
So
admit.
they currently have 28 million available, which is the fifth highest in the NFL, and then Max Crosby
I'm pulling that up here right now.
2024 is 24 and a half. So they could do it. They could. They wouldn't have to shift anything.
His cap hit is 30, so they would probably have to move. They would have to, you know, rework a little bit or whatever, and you know,
and that would come with it.
You'd throw in something.
Yeah, my big concern would be down the road, more post just this season, because he just signed that contract.
His cap hit goes down the next 2 years, though.
Okay.
This is the most expensive he is in this deal. So it's his cap hit next year is $28 million, and then $24 million the following year.
Okay, so
base salary goes from $24.5 this year to $22.2 to $18.8.
Yeah. The issue though is Jared Goff's new deal kicks in next year, and then you have Amon-Ra. You have to pay him. You just paid Panay.
They did pay Amon-Ra, didn't they? Didn't he get a contract?
Yeah. You're right. They did. So they just paid Amon-Ra.
And I think they got him at like kind of a bargain, like comparatively.
30, I think 32 and a half.
I thought he was under 30.
Nah, he's over 30.
Oh look,
and then you also just paid Panay. I think he got the same amount. He got a pretty high amount.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. So where is Amon-Ra? Amon-Ra got
4 year, 120 million. 30. So
just
30
over 30. 30 on the dot.
And then you have Panay, who they paid 4 years, 112 million. So 28.
24.
4 years, 112 million is 28. Pal.
4 years would be
4 year, 120 mil is 28.
120. I thought you said 112.
No, 100. Oh, I'm sorry. 112 is 28. 120 is 30.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I know. It's okay.
I can't do math anymore. I went to public school.
I went to public school.
That's fair. I mean, I forgot they gave Demon an extension too.
Yeah, so you got 58 there dumped in on those two players plus Goff. What did he get? A $50 million deal?
Yeah, I think he's like right on 50.
So now you're looking at 98 million between those three guys.
Yeah, I don't know what they have coming. Let me look at what they have coming off the books here.
Yeah, who's a free agent? What's important?
Yeah, and so I'm just seeing as of now salary cap totals.
Who's coming up in the next?
Actually, going into next year, they got with everything.
But who's a free agent? That's the question.
Well, I know. I'm just saying it's like they're working with 87 million, almost 88 million
Okay.
as of their current scheduled stuff for next year. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, they did a good job writing these contracts because Amon Ra's cap hit is only $13.9 million next year.
Yeah, it's probably backloaded.
Yeah. So they do have space, quite honestly, to probably make a move for that. Like that. And there's a way to get that done.
There
Basically kind of
certainly
where
is.
I'm
There's
at.
a way to get any trade done that you might want to get done,
Mm-hmm.
but it also depends on who is coming off the books that they might want to re-sign for next year. And that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I didn't have that separated there.
Yeah.
'Cause that just made my head hurt. That's a whole other thing. We'll get more prepared on that
Yeah,
going
there's a
forward,
lot of factors. I think,
especially if they do make a deal.
yeah, I think inevitably it's probably too hard. And Max Crosby's a very difficult player to trade for with his new contract that he just signed, how expensive he's going to be, and what. Oh,
I
I'm
mean,
not
it'll be multiple.
what the.
You would think probably two firsts at least.
It's at least a first. I think
I
look
think
at what
multiple is
Brian's
probably what you're looking at.
look at the Brian Burns trade. Add a
Yeah.
first round pick to it. That's probably in the ballpark then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
something
mean,
like
I'm
that.
just saying I could see them with, kind of like the mindset of who's the GM and everything like that. I could see them just saying to hell with it. Like let's get after it and
Yeah,
really go for this here with this
yeah,
team.
yeah, just tough
Because
situation.
right,
I
I mean,
wasn't.
before that, I mean, where was the hole? I mean, the secondary wasn't great, but like it's
No, their
good
secondary's
enough by
fine
any
now.
means. Yeah.
It's definitely good now. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean now with Hutch
Now
being
it's
down,
like, are
you
you going to be
need
able to
an
get
edge.
a consistent pass rush? I think they'll probably. It's not going to happen right away, but if they can't get any pressure next week,
Yeah, I mean you got 3 weeks until trade deadline.
mm-hmm.
Something's gonna happen. A lot
Yeah,
of teams. I think we're gonna see. I mean, we saw three trades today. I think you'll see a good
mm-hmm.
amount more. You saw a trade last on Monday or Sunday night or something. Sebastian Joseph Day got traded to the Seahawks from the Jags. So like, yeah, I think he got traded Sunday night. Jags flew back. He immediately the second he flew back from London by himself
Mm-hmm.
and then landed, I guess, in New York and then took the connector from New York to Seattle. So
Wild
that's
times. It's
crazy.
about to get real fun.
Yeah.
Do love NFL trade deadline anymore. All
Yeah,
right.
it's crazy now.
Yeah. You want to get into the top tens here? This is where we'll
Yeah, let's
actually
do some
hit
top
some of
tens
what happened on the
last
field
week.
here a little bit this past week. All right. Number 10. Um, might be a little low, but I feel better about the teams that I have above them. I dropped them down a little bit more. I got the Commanders
Okay.
here.
Yeah, we
I
talked about
think
it a
there
bit
was
before the show.
no shame in that loss by any means. Jane Daniels was good again. 24-35, 269, and 2 touchdowns. They just couldn't get any run game going. And Zach Ertz was their leading receiver with 4
Receiver.
catches for 68 yards. You hit a little bit of a buzzsaw.
Yeah.
It came back down to earth a little bit. I'm not over. I'm not going to overreact to that loss too much there. I just, I think they still should be in the top 10, but
Yeah.
kind of more hanging on by a thread in the top 10 just because there's a couple teams on the outside looking in that could be a
Yeah.
lot scarier.
Yeah, I have them a little bit higher than you. I have them up at 7 this week. I bumped them down maybe a spot.
Mm.
Yeah, I bumped them down to 1 spot. I had them at 6, bumped them down to 7.
Yeah, I had them at 5
But
last week because they were just kind of
I'm
running
not
through everything. But
I'm not gonna knock them they would have if they would have won. Yeah, obviously they take a big jump back up the board.
yeah,
But you're also playing two high offenses with stable defenses behind them.
yeah, I think that was
Maybe
definitely
looking
like
at the Jonathan Allen injury, maybe I could have bumped them down a little bit more. But I just think that offense is really good.
Mhm.
I want to
Yeah, I would
see
have a
it,
win would have told me more about them than the loss did.
than a loss.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm not really changing my mind about it.
yeah.
I still like them more than the teams I have behind them a little bit currently. Obviously, I don't do my top tens on projections like you do, but
I do have a little bit more projection in mind, for sure. But
yeah, but I do like what I've been seeing, and I'll continue to like what I see as long as that offense gets ran out there every week and performs.
yeah,
But
who you
my
got at 10?
actual 10 team is Tampa.
That's
They
fair.
got back on track this week and just absolute route on the Saints. Just
They have the most
looked
thirty
great on
point games this
Thursday.
year too.
Yeah, Baker is the number two quarterback in fantasy this year.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we're looking. I mean, if they didn't kind of give that game away to the Falcons a little bit there,
yeah, and
MVP
if they,
Baker.
would have actually beat the Broncos,
Yeah, that Broncos defense
um,
is real.
no, Patrick Surtain is real. That's what it
That's
is.
also very true. Yeah.
They're well coached, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
I Buccaneers is just a good team. Um, they also have Chris Godwin, highest fantasy wide receiver on the year so far. Who would have guessed? So
Jesus.
I think, yeah, I think the offense is too good not to be in the top 10 right now, and they're just well coached. I
Yeah, they
think
were
going,
probably my
going,
11.
yeah, I think going forward, they have a little bit tougher of a schedule, and that'll show out a bit. But I like what I've seen so far, and
Mhm.
it was tough for me to leave them off this week.
Who you got at 9?
I have the Falcons at 9, so
That's
they're
fair.
running mates down in the South. Falcons just keep putting it on paper. I still think they should have beat the Chiefs 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And if they would have done that, they'd be way up this list. But Kirk is playing at still a pretty high level. The offense is switching things up this week. They were running the ball a bit more. Him and Drake London have really started to develop that connection that was desperately needed the first 3 weeks of the season. And they're showing what they can do against just a regular offense. So not a regular defense, which is good because their offense needs to prove that on a week to week basis. And
Mhm.
their defense continues to make plays, get the stops needed for the offense to go out there and make work happen. So that's why they're at my number 9.
Yeah, I have them up at 6 right now. I like a lot
Okay, so
of what's going on with the Falcons there. It's kind of what the Jets tried to be, I
hmm
think, is kind of like where it's at there, but they just have better pieces. Like,
yeah,
okay, you're
they
getting
have
a
a better
quarterback.
offensive line.
Like, I mean, the similarities are insane. You have a quarterback coming off of an Achilles rupture. One quarterback needed mobility. The other one has been a statue his entire career and just throws darts.
Yeah,
So him, obviously, again, we talked about it. Kirk Cousins week 1 with that Steelers defense. It was very vanilla game plan. They kind of never had a chance to really put
no,
up points in that game. Ever since then, Kirk has looked really good. Just being Kirk Cousins, just again throwing darts. Um, a better personality too. Not only the Achilles and the style of play different than Aaron
easier
Rodgers.
guy for me
He's
to
a
root for.
not even just rooting for, just a better locker room fit. Like he's
Yeah,
gonna develop relationships with younger guys, like you saw it with Justin Jefferson. Immediately, he's got that with Drake London now. He's even trying to like what was it not this past week but the week before getting the ball to Kyle Pitts. Like he's spreading the ball around. Ray McLeod is like had some big catches for them. Darnell Mooney has
hmm
been fantastic. Like he's just developed a great relationship with everybody and is just it plays his game and he's very comfortable in that. Again, running back Bijan versus Brees Hall. Bijan is a better running back. They have a better O line and they made some really smart moves on the defensive side. Getting
yeah,
Jesse Bates was sneaky big. Um, the trading for Matthew Judon was weird at the time because it just kind of happened so early more than anything. It felt like more of a trade you make closer to the deadline when you're trying to like get some juice, but like they just said, we like what we have. Let's go for it. Um,
hmm
he's looked good and they're just like, there's a ceiling on this team for sure. I feel like a pretty defined ceiling,
yeah. And I'm pretty sure they're
but
playing at that ceiling right now.
yeah, and I just even mean like how far they can go. Like
Yeah,
they seem like a divisional round most likely.
yeah.
Like
I
win a
mean,
playoff game, get to the
yeah,
second round. Kind of go like that's about their ceiling. Um, do I think they could fuck around and end up in the NFC Championship? Depending on who they get.
Maybe.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, Kirk Cousins
Yeah.
gets on a 2-game heater. I'm not ruling that out. But I really like a lot about what they're doing right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think the NFC is just so competitive that
Mm-hmm.
you just have to be playing high level ball right now, or else you're going to kind of fall off.
Yeah, and
All
kind of
right,
where
so
they're
the
at with what's going on with the NFC
Niners,
West being just
yeah,
weird, and then nobody's really played each other yet in the NFC North. If they start beating up on each other, Falcons could just be sitting there quietly coming away with the number 1 seed, just because the NFC West is kind of beating up on each other. The North is
maybe,
beating up on each other. I'm just
maybe.
saying, like you kind of look at that and go, I mean, their biggest competition in division is the Bucs right now, and they've already took 1 game against them.
No, I mean it's definitely possible. You just
Yeah.
kind of have to see how that whole division plays out.
My
Um,
9. I didn't say my 9. I have the
yeah, that's what I was
Chargers.
going to get into. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
sorry,
and your
sorry.
Chargers.
I got the Chargers there. I'm still buying in this. They were able to move the ball again, run the ball well against that Broncos defense that has
Yeah,
been really good this year. Yeah, there's too much that I like about the Chargers, and like I know exactly what they are, and
yeah,
nobody wants to play them. I can't have them higher than 9 at this moment, just at 3-2. But with him getting healthier again and just everything that Harbaugh does, I'm still fully bought into this Chargers team.
that's fair. I mean, I want to keep seeing it before
Mm-hmm.
I buy in. I bought in, then I bought out. Um,
Yeah, that's fair.
give me until week 10, and we'll see where we lie.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Who's
Number
your 8?
8, I got the Packers.
That's who I got. That's who I got.
Yeah, same one there. Yeah, Jordan Love is looking really good.
He is
Really good. He's
isn't
kind
missing a
of
beat.
what was it? First half against the Vikings was a little squirrely, and then he hasn't looked back since then.
It's his six
Um,
straight quarters of just six. No,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
is he leading the league in touchdowns right now?
And
No,
that's
he's no,
insane
no,
if
no,
he is.
no. He's tied for second though, and he
That's
missed 2
that
games.
can we just like that's nuts.
Yeah,
If
no,
I'm
I
gonna
mean it's an
this might be
insane
a hot
coach
take.
job.
This could be a hot take. If the Packers somehow win that division, is he in conversation for MVP? Like, is that a conversation?
I don't know if his full numbers are going to be good enough for that because he's only completing
I, I
59% of
think
his passes
I
right
think
now.
sometimes numbers are bullshit because what you put on paper and what you
That's
put in the
fair.
game are two different things.
I
And
mean, if they
the way
fuck
that
around and get
he,
to 13 wins, I think there's a very real
yeah,
possibility
well,
for
I
it. But I'm
mean,
just saying, like,
they play Houston this week. You beat Houston, which I think they will.
yeah.
That's going to be insane. You're moving now to 5-2. You missed 2 games,
Hmm. I
and
mean,
you're putting up godlike numbers.
I think it's still just a touch, being like more of a coaching story than it is everything else with the Packers
I
because
mean that
those
that's
2 wins
fair.
with Malik Willis, regardless of it being against what was it, the Titans and who else did they beat? Who else did they
The
beat?
Colts, the
It's
Colts.
the Colts. Regardless of that, doing that with Malik Willis is now huge. Um, and there's just everything, like at least on the offensive side of the ball, is really clicking there. Josh Jacobs
Yeah,
is playing well. I mean, you got 3, 4 receivers that can make an impact on any given day,
yeah,
and
yeah.
multiple
I
tight
was just
ends.
merely asking a
Oh,
question.
that's fair. Yeah, I don't think he will because I
I,
don't think
I think
they're not gonna have the
yeah,
record to put
I
him in that
think that
conversation.
I think the two dark horse candidates, and they're both in the NFC North for MVP, is Jordan Love, only because he got hurt. Otherwise, he wasn't a dark horse. And the other one is Jared Goff.
That's fair. I just think the
I'm
only
just saying.
reason I wouldn't go there is just kind of like historically you got to be like the 1 or a 2 seed on either side,
Yeah,
and
Well,
I
I
don't
think the winner of that
know.
division is going to be a 1 or 2 seed, and we're going to get that answered pretty
It's
quickly
entirely
here.
possible. I want to see them play each other and see if they all beat up on each other a little bit,
We're going to
and it
see
just
we're
kind
going
of
to see it
like
on
evens it
Sunday.
out. Yeah, no,
Tune in.
I'm yeah, tune in. Yeah, no, I mean that's a whole other thing. It's a good question.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're gonna if any team in that division is gonna get to
yeah, it's
where
definitely
they
good.
need to. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, Packers are my number 8 as well. I didn't really get to
Yeah.
talk about them that
Oh,
much.
sorry.
That was just wanted to ask a question. But yeah, similar reasons. I mean, Jordan Love's come back and he just hasn't missed a beat since,
Mhm.
and just tearing up opposing defenses like there's nothing. And he didn't even utilize his signature Jordan Love deep ball touchdown this weekend. So it's pretty
Yeah, that's
impressive
fair.
to me. Um,
Yeah.
so
Who
who
you got at
is
7?
your numbers? I have the Commanders. Who's
Oh,
your
at
number
7.
7? And then
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
say my
yeah.
6.
I got the Bills at 7.
Okay, I have the Bills at 6. So this is perfect.
Um, yeah, I want to as much as I love the Amari Cooper thing, I do want to see it first. I want to see it come
Obviously, yeah,
together.
yeah,
I do think that the defense is good and kind of, but also like overperforming because of McDermott. But I think there are some holes in that, mainly
yeah,
linebacker position there. With Milano still being out, I do want to see it all kind of come together with Amari Cooper because he'll obviously be the first punch, but I want to see what that second punch is. If it is
yeah.
going to be Josh Allen kind of spreading the ball around, or if Shakir or Coleman is going to establish themselves as a number
A
two
number 2.
option there.
Yeah,
Um,
I
Still
think
like
evident with
Kincaid, and with Cook being out again, like he should be back next week. He was supposed to play this week, didn't.
yeah,
Um, I like him a lot. I'm hesitant at this moment
yeah,
because they've played two teams with winning records and they've lost both of those games.
yeah. I think what we're gonna see here is that in the upcoming weeks, once Cooper gets involved more in the offense and understands the play calls and the play style, I think it's gonna be he's the one, Kincaid's the 2, and then James Cook's the 3 for like touches and looks
Yeah, no,
with
I
Shakir in
agree
that
with that.
area.
I just meant in terms of like the passing game. Uh,
Well, yeah, that's
More
what I'm
so
saying.
on the
Kincaid.
outside. Like I know Kincaid is
Um,
going to get a lot of touches.
if
I'm just saying
yeah,
like
if
on
you're
the
gonna say like
outside.
on the outside,
Yeah.
then it's probably gonna be Keon. Shakir's more of like that slant guy, not slant guy, but
Mm-hmm.
your slot receiver. So he's gonna come on and off the field constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Not now that Amari's going to be playing almost every down, you have to assume. So
Right. You would.
because
Yeah, that's
Amari
gonna.
plays in the slot, but he can also bump outside. It really depends on
Again, he can
how
do
you're
whatever
lining
he
him up.
wants to. His footwork is
Yeah,
insane.
yeah,
Really, really underrated when it comes to that.
yeah.
Where did you have the Bills again? You had them at 6.
I
Is
had
that
him
what you
at
said?
6. I had him at just one above you. For a lot of the
Gotcha.
same reasons. Everybody knows I love the Bills, but obviously, yeah, like you said, you played 2 teams with winning records, and you lost both those games. One of them you got
Mm.
routed in. The other one you should have won, and bad coaching led you to
Mm.
losing that game. Um, so definitely tough to have them even close to being above those 2 teams that just beat you.
Right.
But I think that we're going to have an answer here in the next few weeks as to what Buffalo can truly do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll probably happen fast, and it'll be pretty
Yeah,
clear what
yeah.
what they look like there. All right. So we got my 6 out of the way. Let's go to 5.
I have Houston.
Me too.
Wow,
Look at that.
we are on one today. This is
Great minds
crazy.
think alike every once in a while.
So Houston's my 5. For a lot of the reasons, I kind of have the Bills at 6. The offense is cooking.
Mm-hmm.
They look good even without Nico there. They played really well this last week. And if the Texans and if the Bills would have beat the Texans, the Bills would be in my top 3. And if the Texans would have lost that game, they'd probably be down closer to like 8.
Yeah,
But
I think that's
given
about.
that,
That's
given how that game happened, Texans are at 5, and they won a real good game over the weekend. And I don't know, man. Stroud's looking good.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, yeah, they played New England. New England doesn't have
But
like an
like
awful
again, like hanging
defense.
up 41 points on that defense
Yeah, that's what
is
I'm
still
saying. Yeah, it's
impressive.
it's it's a
Yeah,
it's a
like
good
it's the
game.
Patriots. You should beat them up, but also like doing it in that fashion. Like the Jets
Yeah.
beat up on the
Not only
Patriots.
that,
Like most
you
teams are going to beat up on the Patriots. What was
you
it,
went you
28 to
went in.
3 or whatever, 28-10? Like
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
struggling to score everything like that, but you're not really getting to 30 on them because that defense
yeah,
is good. Hanging up 41 on that team is impressive, and
yeah, and
they look like a different team with Mixon running the ball well.
yeah, yeah, and you went into Foxborough. You won
Yeah.
that game. It's not easy. It's not an easy feat to do. So good on them, and in the fashion that they did it without Nico.
Mhm.
Um, Stroud definitely still was missing him. I mean, only putting up sub 200 yards in that game, definitely not
Mhm.
ideal. But obviously, I think once you get up that high, you're probably not looking to pass the ball as much. You're just running it to get that game
Right.
over with. Like, hey, we did our job. We're trying to get out of here. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that continues. Who do they have this week? They have the
Packers.
Packers. So yeah,
That'll be a good
I
game.
already talked about this. Yeah, so you now have your challenge. How do you
Mhm.
look in Green Bay against that defense without your best playmaker on the field? I
Mhm.
gotta know. If you show up and continue that, yes, let's go. Again,
Yeah.
I already stated that I don't think you're winning that game,
Right. And
but
I also don't think that they have to win that game
no,
to
no.
for me to like, you know what I mean? Like it's like if they lose, I'm not going to feel too different on it unless they get kicked around.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing that will, really kind of change any opinions that I have on them. But yeah, that's about
hmm
where we're at. All right. Number 4, I got the
This
Lions.
for yeah, we were gonna differ here. I have the Ravens.
That's fair.
I have the Lions. I
Um,
have the Lions at 3.
Lions, the only reason I dropped them from last week is no Aiden Hutchinson. And
Yeah.
I think that's gonna hurt them a bit here until they, fix that spot. Because they made a joke out of Dallas. Like that was personal from last
Oh
year.
my God. Yeah, I
Personal.
mean,
I mean, what was it
did
the
did you
first score of the game? They had a lineman eligible. Like
yeah,
they pulled out all the stops. That's the other reason I'm
just
going to
for
drop them
fun?
down a little bit is like they unloaded the clip on trick plays and shithousery. So
They
hopefully
they
they
they could have
have.
more. They could have way
Like,
more.
you would hope because you
Yeah,
played your whole hand to
yeah.
embarrass Dallas in Jerry World. Like,
Did you see Dan Skipper out there running routes? They lined him
yeah,
up on the outside. It was so
yeah.
funny. I
They
was
did it
like,
so many times. It was all like yeah, it
they're never
was
throwing him the ball.
hysterical, hysterical what they were doing, and like
So
again, just they made it a point that they felt like it was just so personal, all of that.
good,
But
good.
unfortunately, they do come away without Hutchinson there, so that's the only reason
Yeah,
that I did drop
I'm
them
not
is
gonna
that I'm kind
I'm not
of
gonna knock them
nervous.
yet for without Hutch. I want to see what they do to kind of change with the defensive scheme, how they want to run
Hmm.
things. I
Where do
mean,
you
their
have them?
secondaries still. I have them at 3, so
All right, fair enough. We
split.
just flip flop there.
Oh,
Yeah,
you have the Ravens in a
yeah.
different spot.
We flip flop those two.
Oh, you have the Ravens at 3.
Yeah, I sold the Ravens at 3.
Oh, all right. Well then,
Yeah, yeah.
I thought you'd put them at 2 because
Nah,
how you are, but
I'm honest. I'm honest.
that's a first. So I have yeah I got the Lions at 3, Ravens 4. I just can't. I'd like to see it first before I make that judgment
That's
call.
fair.
Like, hey, you're gonna be bad now that you don't have your
I don't
pass
think they're going to be
rusher.
bad. I just think
No,
that
no,
like
no. You're not gonna be
that's
as
a
good.
big
But
loss. I mean, he's the front
you
runner for
gotta,
defensive player of the year, and he's done
yeah,
for the
you
year.
just have to hope that the scheme that you have set up is gonna win
Hmm.
out rather than the player, and whoever you might bring in to take 70% of that load is gonna really help you get to that point.
Yeah.
Um, but that offense, man, it looked unbelievable again. That's
Hmm.
2 weeks in a row that they just looked unstoppable.
It's the best O line in the league. They're keep it again. We said
It's
this
just
before the year. It's like
I
Goff is
can't
comfortable and
knock them
upright.
for that.
He looks great.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna be like knocking them just for that minimal
Hmm.
item. Minimal, it's not minimal. I don't want to say that that injury is a minimal injury to that team. It's a major thing that it's going to happen. But I'm saying until I know what they do to counterbalance it, I'm not
Hmm.
going to knock them for it.
That's fair.
Um, but yeah, and then to get into the
Yeah,
Ravens, I mean that offense is also on another planet right now.
it's insane.
Just and their defense finally looked good this week.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say good. I'm saying it looked better than what it had been.
I think they do that from time to time, especially in the secondary there, where it's
Yeah,
like, they you give up 38 points. Everybody's kind of talking some shit on you a little bit, and
yeah,
then they decided to show. I mean, Kyle Hamilton is consistent every week, but like it's the Marlon Humphreys, the Marcus Williams. I mean,
yeah.
Wiggins has
You
been
need that.
fantastic, but it's
Yeah, you need
much
that
better than.
more and
And
more.
they just need to do it consistently, and they're just
Yeah,
not. It's just not a group that tends to do that week in and week out. Unfortunately, for my own, mental well being.
same.
Yeah. And to your point about the Ravens offense here, I think I sent it to you. Right now, Lamar is on pace for 4,300 yards passing, 1,100 yards rushing, 28 passing touchdowns, 6 rushing TDs, 6 picks. And Derrick Henry is on pace for 1,900, almost 2,000 rushing yards and 26 rushing touchdowns.
I don't know. I mean, I'd
I'm
say
getting more
it's
out of
all
it than I expected to with the Derrick Henry
yeah,
thing, but I'm still just a little bit nervous on it. But
yeah,
as long as it's humming, I'm here for it.
yeah. I'm curious to see how that's gonna continue.
Mm.
But if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Oh, for sure. And then I think we probably have the same top two
One and
in
two.
the same order.
Chiefs Vikings, yeah.
You got Chiefs at
Chiefs
one.
won, Vikings two. Yeah, Chiefs
Yeah,
won, Vikings two.
both on a
I'm
bye
not
week
gonna.
this week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's not a whole lot to say. They're both 5-0, both on byes. It's like the NFL wrote it or something. But we'll see how they come out of the byes and how they play and look this upcoming week.
yeah. I know the
Vikings
Chiefs
have
get
a tough matchup against Detroit, and Chiefs get
the Niners.
the Niners. So, but both of them don't have easy games. They're
Both
going to
of
get
them
tested.
on the road. Oh no, Vikings get the Lions at home. Chiefs go to San Fran.
Okay, so that'll be fun. I don't know
Yeah,
why they didn't make that the Sunday night game. Okay, dumb,
that's fair.
but doesn't matter. So we'll see. I think one of those two teams probably loses this weekend, and
Right.
we'll have a little bit more to talk about next week in our top tens.
Yeah, yeah. There's not a whole lot going on at the top there, other than just the Chiefs. They get
Yeah,
better as they get worse.
yeah. Unfortunately, now that the season's gone on so long, it's going to be tough to really crack this top 10 and really make some moves. You might have some
Yeah.
minor changes every week, but I considered for half a second not even switching it and just kind of leaving it as is. But again, if you want to play that
There's a little
game
bit
of
of
comparing
yeah.
apples to oranges and really trying to figure it out, that's why the Bucks got in there this week and I dropped the
Mm-hmm.
Bears.
I mean, the
The
Bucks
Bears,
are chomping at the bit here, getting in there. Same with the
yeah,
Niners. Those are two teams that I was really struggling with, trying to figure
yeah,
out what to do with them.
yeah. And the reason I took the Bears out is because every single one of their wins has been against one-win teams. Every single
That's a
one.
team that I'm like keeping my eye on too. Is like they're getting better every week. Caleb's getting more
They
comfortable every
they're
week.
definitely getting better. He's getting more comfortable. I just want to see
Hmm.
him beat an actual opponent.
That's
Somebody
fair.
that's actually
Yeah,
like playing up to like the same speed as them, if not higher.
yeah, and I
Play
think
up to
they're off
somebody.
this
So
week, so they
yeah, we're
are
not gonna
off
see
this
it
week.
yet. I don't know if we'll even really get the chance to see it this year until they play in division. Oh no,
Hmm.
they play Commanders out of the bye, so that's
Yeah,
first challenge right there.
yeah. I
Because
mean,
yeah,
there's some fun stuff going on right now. You're starting to see everybody separate. The better
yeah, which
quarterbacks are
is
winning games. Coaching is really, really mattering at this
yeah,
point.
which
Like,
is not
it's
what it
always
was at the beginning. Yeah,
first few weeks are always tough. I mean, the
yeah.
Saints are coming back down to earth pretty quickly after
Thankfully, yeah,
for real for both of our takes for the season.
yeah.
All right,
I've missed so many takes already, so give me something to
that's
root for.
true. Yeah, the Rams are kind of killing me right now on that,
Yeah.
but
All
All
right.
right. You got anything else
You
for
got any?
us?
Oh, I
Hey, but you
typically
two
ask
at
that.
that time.
No, I got nothing else for us this week. For those that are wondering, it's after midnight here, and
I had to work
I
a
have
little
to be
bit
up in
late, so I'm
yeah.
keeping them up.
I'm gonna be up in 6 hours, so it'll be a good time for me.
I'm rooting for you.
No, I root for myself every day, and I lose that battle.
All
All right, guys,
right,
we're
let's get
gonna
out
get
of
out of
here.
here.